There were some questions about putting together the in the hoop stocking with a cuff from a creative medley, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch one out now for you. Normally I would stitch this in a color that would blend in with my fabric, but I'll use black today just to give some contrast so you can see what I'm stitching here. I just stitched step 1, which is the placement stitch. I'm going to add my batting and just lay it right here on top of the placement stitch and run color 2. I just ran color 2 and tacked down my batting onto the stabilizer. You can see here I got a little close to the edge. I'm not used to stitching and videoing at the same time. You'd want to actually center this a little better. I'm going to lay my front fabric right on top, and they should be about the same size. Excuse me as I'm trying to do this one-handed. Now I'm going to run step 3. You can see these 2 black lines here. These are the placement stitches for the cuff. I have my cuff fabric folded in half, wrong sides together, and I'm going to place the folded edge against these lines that I just stitched. Okay, my bottom edge is now lined up. You can see right here is one of the placement stitches, and right here is the other placement stitch. So I have the folded edge of my cuff lined up against those stitches. I like to place a piece of tape here just so that this cuff doesn't get flipped up at any time during the rest of your stitching. Now I'm going to run the next stitch. So this just marked the placement where I'm going to tape down my ribbon that's going to be the loop that you can hang the stocking from. Because I want my ribbon to angle up off the corner of my stocking, I have it angled up here, with the ends sticking out the raw edge of my stocking and the loop inside my stocking. If I leave this here, when I put the back of the front on, this will get caught in it. So I'm also going to just fold it down so that it stays tucked out of the way and doesn't get caught in any stitching in future steps. Now the machine is going to stitch the placement for the back of the stocking. Okay, now my machine has stitched right here this little mark and this little mark right above my ribbon, which is kind of hard to see because the foot is in the way. But these 2 lines mark where I'm going to line up the top of the back. As you can see, I have my back fabric. It's folded in half. Again, I have that nice crease here to make this a nice smooth line. I'm going to line that top up at the very bottom of those stitches. I don't want it to go over these stitches because otherwise it will get caught when I'm adding the back of the front. So this is the back of the stocking, and again I'm going to line it up at the bottom of these marking stitches that just stitched. Okay, I pulled it out a little bit so you can see here, this is the marking stitches, and this is the top of the back of my stocking. I'm going to slide my hoop back in, and now this next step is going to tack down the back of the stocking. The back of my stocking is now stitched on. This again is the folded edge, so when I look at my stocking it'll be a nice finished edge here. I'm going to take the fabric that I have for the back of the front. So this is the inside of the front of the stocking, and I'm going to place it right side down. If your fabric has a direction, make sure that the top of your fabric is at the top of your hoop. I want to make sure that this goes up above the top of this back line here, because this is going to be a little bit shorter than the line that stitches next to close the whole thing up. So now my fabric is covering up the whole outline that just stitched. You can see this is where the pocket got tacked down. All of that is covered up, plus a little additional up at the top. Slide my hoop back in, and I'm going to run the final stitch. I have all my layers here stitched together in a sandwich, where I have my stabilizer, my batting, the front of my stocking, the cuff, the back of my stocking, and the inside of the front of the stocking. I'm going to unhoop and cut around this edge, leaving a little extra room along this opening here so that I have a nice edge that's easy to turn in and sew. My stocking all cut out now. On the back is my stabilizer. I chose to use a cutaway for this one. You can use really any stabilizer you choose. A tearaway would work nicely for one like this where I didn't add any extra stitching. If I was putting a design on or adding a name on the cuff, I might want a cutaway to give it a little bit more stability. So really just stabilize for whatever you put onto the stocking. The stocking itself is fine with just a tearaway. Now I'm going to turn it inside out through this hole. I'll have the inside of my front and the inside of my back facing out. I've turned my stocking through the hole, and what I have here is this is the back of my stocking with that folded edge, and this is the front of my stocking. And if you look inside, you can see the cuff. So the first turn is through this hole, and you end up with your stocking inside out. Now I'm going to just turn it through the top of the stocking. I'm going to remove all this tape that I used to stick down my cuff and to tape down the ribbon to keep it out of the way. Give your stocking a quick pressing,